On September 15th, just over a week ago at time of recording, some crackhead-looking dude made an attempt on the life of former President of the United States and presidential candidate Donald Trump. Again.
Secret Service opened fire on a gunman at Trump's West Palm Beach, Florida golf course in what the FBI is calling another assassination attempt.
That's right. Putting it as eloquently as possible, this Beavis and Butthead-looking head-ass decided to camp outside of Trump's golf course in Florida with a rifle in the bushes. It went about as well as you could expect. As he waited for Trump to move to the next hole where he would have a clear shot on the president, Secret Service actually caught him beforehand and engaged. Thankfully, he was caught and nobody was killed. However, the rifle used was the subject of much discussion, as originally it was reported as an AR-15 and then an AK-47 widely across the news. And even, I'm not fucking with you, AR-47 at one point. But all we had was this grainy photo to judge by. And if you're a turbo autist like myself, that's all you needed to realize exactly what it was. Unlike what the news had reported, it was actually a Norinco SKS with a polymer sporter style stock, which is later exactly what it ended up being as the FBI a few days ago released this image. That's when I realized I gave the guy too much credit and his setup is objectively far worse. And we'll get into that and even replicate it. So we're gonna talk about the weapon used, the setup that was used, why this guy is an idiot, and make, of course, as you've come to expect, fucked up jokes along the way, as is my job and truly my honor. And then later on, we're gonna test to see if an electrical taped scope will actually hold zero at all. We're gonna test his scope setup later, but for the time being, I've got an app to make this feel a little bit more clone correct. Time to hit her from the back. Here we go. And now, I think we're ready for business. Now, a lot of people have questioned, why in the world would anybody use an SKS? After all, it's an incredibly shitty rifle. Nobody can hit shit with it, ever. Well, let's talk about that a little bit. A lot of the reputation for the SKS entirely depends on which boomer you ask. A lot of people who say that this is better and more accurate than the AK in every way. The Russians should have been using this the whole time. There's others who just kind of remember this as being a garbage bin surplus gun that nobody really wanted, so you can go up at your local sporting goods store, pull one of these out of a basket and buy it for 50 bucks. It's what you bought if you couldn't afford a real AK or something like that. The reality is, with most things, in my opinion, is somewhere in the middle. For those who think it's obviously better than the AK, ask all the militaries who don't use it. There is, however, truth in the accuracy side of things. Now, it is chambered in a 7.62 by 39 cartridge, the exact same round as the AK, but the SKS has a bit of a reputation for being more accurate at distance. Why is that? Well, the SKS is working with a couple more inches of barrel, what some of you wouldn't give to say the same. Comparing apples to apples, when our muzzle ends here, you can see, even though this is, it's a SAM 5 and 5.56, but same principle, 16-inch barrel AK, you could see that this has a little bit of an edge when it comes to barrel length. Let's say we're not working with a scope. Let's say we're only using iron sights. If you see where our sights line up here, the SKS has about 4 extra inches of sight radius, meaning that the distance between the rear sight and the front sight is a little bit longer. Now, the wider your sight radius, the more likely you are to be precise in your aim when talking about sight picture on iron sights. Another last advantage the SKS might have on accuracy comes with the short stroke piston system. Short stroke is known to be slightly more accurate than long stroke gas piston like the AK uses. It has less forces acting on the barrel, which is why it's used in platforms like the SVD when they're trying to get better accuracy. So the big question the internet's been debating back and forth, especially on Twitter, is the SKS capable of making a 400 to 500 yard shot? Yes, the AK is capable of doing that, in fact. The interesting part is, though, it didn't have to. You see, while the report says that John Wilkes Busey over here was engaged at 400 to 500 yards, that's where Secret Service was. The shot he was waiting to take was only at about 90 to 100. Right now we're at just over 100 yards with a gun that I just got like 2 days ago, never zeroed. It's got fucking electrical tape on it. This is not a difficult shot. Any moron could do this. Not difficult. So if he wasn't spotted by Secret Service, this is roughly where that pink steel is out there, that pink silhouette, is roughly where Trump would have been golfing. It's actually about 10, 15 yards further than the actual shot would have been. So this is not a difficult shot. And I'm just sitting, I'm not even proned out like he was. He's proned out with his muzzle sticking out of a chain link fence, which is how he was spotted by Secret Service in the first place. That, and he wasn't too terribly hard to spot considering he was wearing a very tactically sound salmon pink shirt on a place where everything is green. I mean, seriously, where do they find these fucking people?
Where do all these guys come from?
I mean, 2 attempts with rifles on a presidential candidate's life in 2 months is crazy, but the only reason I don't assume this is some sort of CIA MK Ultra shit is because I feel like the CIA is the only one with a track record of actually killing people. Them and the ATF count dogs. Now, this may not be the best scope mount in the world. That being said, if you look at the photos, I think we're still giving our shooter a little bit too much credit. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna swap off this properly mounted scope with something a little bit more, well, to reuse an old joke, something a little more retardy Oswald approved. Unfortunately, moments like this generate a lot of controversy. Media coverage in the wake of the second assassination attempt has been either polarized or sometimes non-existent. This story alone has been covered in hundreds of articles. The left, as usual, calls for more gun control, while sources like AmmoLand cite this as reasons why gun control laws don't even work in the first place. Simply put, in the modern media landscape, it's hard to know what the hell's going on. That's why I specifically asked Ground News to cover this video. Believe me, I have experienced media bias firsthand, so I really appreciate what Ground News is doing. I especially appreciate their blind spot feature, which highlights stories that the media is specifically not covering, like this recent report on gun ownership being on the rise from liberals that received almost no coverage from left-wing media. I wonder why. Unfortunately, moments like this highlight how misleading one-sided media can be, something you may not know unless you use Ground News. So check them out at ground.news/BrandonH, or scan this QR code. And if you subscribe through my link, you get 40% off unlimited access, which of course is what I use. Ground News is subscriber-funded, on a mission to hold the media accountable. And by subscribing, you're not only getting a great product, but you're supporting my work as well. So thank you to Ground News. Back to the video. Check the magazine. Gun is cleared. Here we have our SKS dust cover mount. And what we're replacing it with is probably something we won't be able to hit shit at 90 yards with. Watch this miraculously hold zero. So this is, we'll see if this even fucking holds on. What I'm curious about is, we clear the charging handle, but I'm curious to see if the ejection is going to smack the top of this at all. This is even, we gave this the best chance possible of working, because if you look in the photo, his scope goes right over the top, which if you don't know about an SKS, where it ejects directly out the top. So, see if she chooches. The scope is slightly crooked. Okay, all right, let's see if she ejects. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, sure enough. Didn't hit shit though. Let me see if I can get a hold on it. Can I aim a little high? That was not it. Aim a little low. Aim really low. Where the fuck is this hitting? I'm gonna go for the creepy smiley face to the right of the less creepy smiley face. High and right. Well, as long as you know your Holt. Do you see that? Okay. Make sure I'm not fucking crazy here. See if I can do hold again. Yeah, all right, well shit. Let's see if it fucking holds at 100. Try not to fucking touch it on the way there so it doesn't change our hold. So to try to confirm zero, and I really do use zero very loosely, I'm gonna try to shoot at that big one, the one that says 303, I think, on the right. Where was that on that, Zach? A little high?
Just low.
Just low?
Yeah.
Son of a bitch. I'll be damned. You know, that's the reason why we do science, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little bit upset every time some dumb shit worked. I straight up never would have called that.
No, that is a better result than if it didn't work.
Yeah, I mean, we taped the dog shit out of it, but still.
I was expecting it to just kind of like slide and fall off after a few.
Yeah, I mean, it was actually more on target than I thought. It was literally the same exact hold. I wonder if we adjusted the dials and tried to actually zero it if it would hold at all. I'm just gonna hold for where I was shooting. I mean, we're one reload later, might as well. I don't even think I need to be prone for this. Funny is that the scope is noticeably canted, like the crosshairs look like that. But if it works, well, if it tries to work, I am fucking blown away. Just when you think you know a fucking thing about guns. I just want to reiterate, this is attached to nothing. This is on a dust cover, which is already a little loose, but I can literally do this with my hands. And that shit was staying on 0. Like, look at this shit. That is not on there that fucking tight. I got nothing. So I guess to be very Mythbusters about it, this gun with a taped scope, being able to make that shot on Trump at that distance is unfortunately plausible. Of course, there's a lot of variables that we can't take into consideration. His skill with the rifle, the scope he used, if he knew his holds. You don't exactly get to take those practice shots when you're surrounded by Secret Service, so. And given the guy's history and obviously choice in firearms, I'd have a hard time calling him a competent human, much less a competent shooter. But make all the jokes you want about a Bubba'd SKS, and Jesus, the most Bubba'd of scope setups I've ever seen. And I think we proved here today, even to the surprise of me, I mean, not the results I was expecting at all. We proved that Trump's life was very materially in danger. But at the end of the day, all these people that are taking pop shots at presidential candidates are just virgin losers who really can't control their own emotions, so they act out. And if you've been offended that I've been making jokes about the attempted assassin this entire time, just remember, kids, it's not bullying if they deserve it. So I hope you learned something today. I certainly fucking did. Yeah, tip your waitresses, call your mom. She loves you. Don't shoot at presidential candidates, and I will see you sexy YouTube mother lovers in the next video. Now, if I have to do another one of these, I'm gonna be fucking pissed. He was then apprehended, and we did find, I didn't find it,